What up, everybody? It's Cuff of the Vision Lab podcast. This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance, the Robert Garcia Agency.
If you're looking for the best insurance and customer service, make sure you pick up the phone and dial 972-645-1844.
Whether it's home, life, or business insurance, Robert and his staff are the best at protecting you and your family.
Once again, that's Farmers Insurance,
the Robert Garcia Agency. The phone number, 972-645-1844. And the website is farmersagent.com/R Garcia. And don't forget to mention the Vision Lab podcast.
Hi, this is Britt Rettig Wold, founder and CEO of Grit Fitness, and you're listening to the Vision Lab podcast.
What up? Welcome back to the Vision Lab podcast in partnership with Next One Creative. The Vision Lab is the official growth mindset podcast for all visionaries worldwide, showing special love to the cigar community at large. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. Here in the lab, we focus on growth and exploring the developmental path of people's visions and dreams and how those dreams come into reality. Folks, it's all about tapping into and becoming the best versions of ourselves through self-discovery, self-examination, and self-actualization. Hey, yo, Mo, who do we have on the show today?
Cuff, today's guest is a native of Mesquite, Texas. She holds an undergrad degree from Cornell University, as well as a business degree from Harvard Business School. After a career in corporate America, she decided she wanted to follow her passion and work in the world of fitness. She now owns what has been recognized by the Dallas Observer, D Magazine, and Dallas Sites 101 as the best gym in Dallas. She is truly my sister from another mister. Please welcome the wonderful and talented Brittani Rettig Wold to the Vision Lab podcast. Hi, sis.
Hi.
How are you?
So excited to be here with you gentlemen today.
Absolutely. Thank you for making the time for us.
Of course. Anything for a brother.
Absolutely. So before we get into it, Cuff, allow me to take care of people who take care of us.
Let's do it.
Obviously, Edwina Brown and the family of Blowing Smoke Cigar Lounge. The address is 215 West Camp Wisdom Road. We can't forget about the great people of Class A Vodka, Crystal and Tim. Thank you guys so much.
What up?
The Instagram handle, everybody, is at Class A Vodka, and that's Class A with a K. The entire family of Dallas Leaf LLC. Visionaries, if you are listening and you need anything done for Dallas, in regards to the city of Dallas, whether it's charitable organizations, entertainment, cigars, the whole 9 yards, make sure you look up Dallas Leaf LLC.
Let's do it.
Oh, absolutely. So, first question, and we're going to open this thing up. We're going to have a good time.
First of all, it's 2020.
It is 2021, man. 2020 was a hell of a year.
Yes.
We made it.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah,
We're on the other side.
We made it.
It's been a good couple of weeks. We're obviously in that space where everybody wants to get healthy. Everybody is resetting. Like Mo just said, and we all know, like 2020 was a bit of a challenge, right? A lot of people had their most profitable years too, so we certainly don't want to take away from that. I'm curious, when you look at people that are coming into a new year, as an example, I'm sure memberships and foot traffic increases as we all try to get in shape. But like, how do you go out and market your business for this time of year?
So I think that's a great question, because a lot of people think that, being in the fitness industry or wellness industry or any sort of, personal growth industry, that your big surge is going to come in January. Like, I'm just going to wait till January and we're going to make all this money. We're going to get all these new customers. But what you fail to realize is that, people will only buy from people that they like, know, and trust. So if you haven't done the work back during the pandemic when everyone was shut down, and if you weren't there serving people in however creative way you possibly could have, whether it was with online virtual content or outdoor classes or mailing supportive items to people's homes, like if you weren't there with people during those hard times, yes, people's share wallet in this month of January, February is a lot more. They're willing to spend more, but they're not going to go with you. They're going to go with brands that they trust, And so, I would not sleep on the Pelotons and the other people who really kept the brand prominent through the pandemic. And so I don't want to say that to discourage you if you were kind of, chilling last year or anything like that, but just know that everything you do to build a relationship and to really serve your customer matters. But now that the new year is here, everyone wants to get fit. Everyone wants to achieve their goals, and knowing that the market's saturated. So how are you going to stand out? And that's what we do, here at Grit. We try to just really stand out by our community of women's empowerment. That's what makes us different. By making it more than fitness, but making it about a total mind-body experience. So setting goals, we're reading a book together for the new year and doing our workouts. But I would just encourage people to think about the whole person and think about the relationships with the people that you serve.
So I absolutely love that you said it's beyond just the fitness in it, right? It's mind and body.
Yeah.
Really what I wanted to ask you is, and I hate to say it in this way, but like, when you look at a person that's coming on board, that you're onboarding, do you want to help them with their mind, their body, or their spirit? What do you quote unquote attack first?
Oh yeah, I love this question because just to give you an example, when I'm teaching a spin class, for example, I always say probably once in every spin class is, I know you're gonna sweat, that's easy. I know you're gonna burn calories, that's easy. But why are you here? What do you really, really, really want? And I really hope that every girl who comes into my gym has a much bigger goal than flat abs and a big booty. I really hope you're not that shallow. I hope you want more out of life than flat abs and a fat ass. You know what I mean? So what do you really want? Why do you want flat abs? And, what do you really want? And I think each of us, deep down, we want to feel like we can contribute. We want to feel like our life has purpose, and we want to feel like there's something that we can do that no one else can do. So we're special, right? And, I think fitness is the gateway drug to developing your craft and figuring that out. But until you have that internal dialogue with yourself and say, what do I really want? What am I really trying to do? You're not going to have the motivation to get up at 6 a.m. and come take my spin class. You're just not. When it's 25 degrees outside and you had too much wine the night before, you're going to say, oh, it's worth the no-show fee. I'm going to sleep through it. So I always try to tap in to that deeper purpose, which is more mind and spirit before the body. And we're very, very big on that here at Grit because I think that the industry in itself, specifically the fitness industry for women, has really done women a disservice and makes it all about getting smaller, being more attractive for men. Everything about working out is about being aesthetically pleasing to please someone else. It's never about the woman being strong for the sake of being strong. Yes, you're a woman and you should be able to do a push-up on your toes just because that's good for your overall health. It makes you feel like a badass and you're a human. You should be able to lift your body weight. That's why, And so we really try to just help women start with the why and make it so much deeper than just the weight loss goal. And I've been doing this for 6 years now, and all of my clients who get the results that they want, they're here because they're having fun, because they love themselves, because they have some big passion that they're working towards, because they just had a baby and they want to be a good example as a strong woman for their kid. It's such a deeper meaning than I just want to, lose weight for a photo shoot or a wedding. Those are the customers who have the most success. So we try very much to help them uncover their deeper why in parallel with giving them a very challenging workout.
So, I put in the intro that, you used to kick ass in corporate America when it came to mergers and acquisitions. And obviously, you and I have talks about your frequent flyer miles. Why did you decide to make the jump into fitness? You didn't have to do that.
No, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier is everyone wants to feel like they're special, right? And when I was younger, I thought that was an arrogant thing to want, but that's human. Everybody wants to feel significant, And when I was in corporate America, I felt like I was being paid and compensated to fit a mold, and that was okay for a certain period of my life because I had a ton of student loan debt, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I hadn't really spent a lot of time figuring out what are my spiritual gifts? How do I serve other people? I was young, so really, I had shallow goals. I just wanted to have designer bags and stunt on Instagram that I was going to these countries and whatever. But once you start to get older, you want deeper things in life. You want substance, and so it just wasn't fulfilling anymore. And I wanted to feel like every day when I wake up, I'm making the world better, or I'm making someone's life better in some way. And that was worth more to me than my 6-figure plus paycheck that I was making, at a very young age. And so I really honestly felt like it was a God thing, and like a conviction of God being like, I've given you a gift of encouragement. I've given you a gift of leadership, and you're really good at leading people. You're really good at encouraging people. During that time, I had a side hustle at 24 Hour Fitness teaching kickboxing classes, and it was just so fun. And it was really just like a way for me to stay in shape. But I started seeing through those classes how, people I didn't even know were like sending me emails like, hey, you don't know this, but I actually just got out of rehab, and now my new addiction is your fitness class, and I'm not doing coke every week anymore. Or someone being like, hey, I just went through like a terrible divorce with a husband who was very abusive, and like the strength I felt in your fitness class made me strong enough to like leave, And so I think those kind of experiences just made my life feel so much more significant, and, gave me the grit to like save money, put a business plan together, and, make a personal commitment that like after a certain amount of time, I was going to go full-fledged into the entrepreneurship thing. So that was about 6 years ago that I took that leap of faith and shocked my parents and shocked everybody and said, hey, I'm going to be a trainer. They're like, what?
But what did I tell you that day on the wet deck at the W? I said, look at all these people. You found your lane.
You found your lane. Just stay in your lane.
Your job is now to make it a freeway.
And I really do. I think about that all the time, that conversation we had, because, I'm in my lane. But the thing that people don't tell you is like, it's so exciting to find your passion, right? To find your lane. But what you don't realize is that lane goes up, down, spiral, backwards. I mean, it's not like a straight lane, and the past 6 years of my life have been the hardest years of my life. I've been through things that I never thought I would have gone through, from physical health because I've been so stressed out, to, building the business from scratch, getting SBA loans, building a team of 96 people who work for me now. We have 3 locations, going through all of that. It has been the hardest. I've worked harder the past 6 years than I ever worked at Deloitte and IBM, where I thought I was truly being slaved away. I thought I was being slaved away. I knew nothing until I was working for myself. It was like a totally different ball game, but it's worth it because the fulfillment that you get in terms of like knowing that all of your hard work was not just for some corporation to answer to their stakeholders. It was because of this life that was saved or transformed. Like, that makes it so much more worth it for me.
A lot of the people who listen to our show are aspiring entrepreneurs. They work in their corporate job or what have you, but they want to do something of their own, just like you. When you decided to, quote unquote, jump out the plane, if you will, what was your biggest fear as you made that leap? And then to our visionaries, what would you tell them in regards to actually making that leap?
I think it's the same fear that everyone has. It was a fear of failure, And then at the same time, though, it was also the fear of success. I think people don't realize that sometimes you hold your own self back, because for me, I was like, well, what if I do this and I'm really good at it? Then damn, that means I've been cheating myself the past all these years, and then I have to sit with that, And that's like a pill you don't want to swallow sometimes, because you feel like you let yourself down. So like the fear of failure and fear of success. But like fear of failure, I think was most prominent because, it's like this letting down the identity that you've created for yourself. Like, to me, I was like, okay, my identity is this smart, Ivy League educated, professional woman. And now like, I'm going to like put that identity to bed. I had to like bury it, have a funeral for it. And that was like a hard thing to go through. And then it's like, what if I do all that, take this leap of faith, and then I just look like a dumbass because it didn't work, and I didn't have to do it. But I went to a conference. I had a career coach, thank God. I went to this conference, and Jillian Michaels was the keynote speaker.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, you have to literally sit down and write out how you feel. She said, how will you feel if you take the big leap of faith and it fails miserably, like you fall flat on your ass, like it's terrible? How will you feel at the end of that? And in 5 years from now, if that was the outcome, you took the leap of faith and it was terrible, or 5 years from now if you stayed the same course. Stay the same course. And if you would feel worse about yourself in 5 years if you were just still doing what you were doing, then you know it's time to go ahead and take the leap. And I knew for a fact when she said it like that it was it. Because I was like, if I'm still a consultant in 5 years, even though I might be making millions of dollars, but if I know that I never even got to experience it, I think I would feel worse than if I failed and made a fool of myself. So that's how I was able to make that decision. And she said something else that stuck with me too that I always want to share with people. She said, work without purpose is punishment. Work with purpose. No, I'm sorry. Work without passion is punishment. Work with passion is purpose. Because that's how you punish someone. You make them work on something that they're not passionate about. So you go to prison, you have to do chores. That's how you punish people. You make them do a work that they don't want to do. But work with passion is purpose. And I thought that was just like very profound.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge.
I'm writing that down. That will be a TVOP post, and we'll give you and Julia Michaels credit.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to something that you talked about as it relates to identity. A lot of times your customers are coming in because there is some recognition of they're not appearing the way that they want to be, whether that's internally or how they look at themselves in the mirror, right? Mm-hmm. How do you deal with the psychological nuances and challenges of helping to reshape, recreate, re-identify, your customers into being who they truly see themselves as, even though that may not be who they are in, with their current state? Right.
That is such a good question, especially for women, because, so much of our identity is not only in our physical appearance, but in how we will label ourselves, and your identity can always be changing. I'm a mom today, I'm a boss babe, I'm whatever. It can be different all the time. And getting comfortable with that fluidity is something that we try to teach our women. But the most important thing to backtrack is that there's gotta be a core of who you are that you love. And everything that you do to improve yourself has to be out of love and not out of hate. It cannot be out of trying to change something that you hate for yourself. If any of your motivation is coming from something that you hate, it's not going to work. And that goes for people who want to be an entrepreneur too. You cannot want to be an entrepreneur because you hate your job. That is no reason to be an entrepreneur. You have to want to be an entrepreneur because you are so passionate and in love with the idea of giving some service or product to someone else that you're just overflowing with this energy to produce it. That's why you become an entrepreneur. So I always tell people, can I pick your brain? I hate my job. I want to start my own business. Wrong. You're not going to be a great entrepreneur. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. Same thing with girls who come in here and are overweight. I want to lose 30 pounds. You're not going to be successful. Why are you here? What do you love about yourself that you want to create more of? That's where we have to start. And when it comes down to identity, if you don't know who you are and what you want, then you damn sure aren't going to have it. If you've never visualized yourself being the president of the United States, you're never going to be the president of the United States. You got to understand, who am I? How do I contribute? Why does the world need me? And get really, really excited about that first. And be really confident in that identity. And that can take, a while to figure out, because we don't really ask ourselves those questions and we're never taught to. Right. In school, we're just taught, make good grades, get a good major, whatever. No one actually has you take a step back and say, what is something that you really like to do and you're really good at it? Who really asked you that? You really enjoy doing it and you're really good at it. Because then you get the benefit of the self-fulfilling prophecy of, I'm working on it because it's fun. Because it's fun, I'm working on it a lot. Because I'm working on it a lot, I'm getting really good at it. Because I'm really good at it, I have a lot of confidence and I think I'm the shit. Because I think I'm the shit, people are attracted to me. Now I have a bunch of people who follow me, and you keep propelling upward. No one helps you focus on those things, and they tell you to, just fix problems and focus on your weaknesses. And that is totally the wrong thing to do. So, that's a long answer to your question, but, when it comes to identity, when it comes to true identity, I think you have to ask yourself two questions. What do I like to do? What am I really good at? and like kind of let that be your thing and let that be something that you're really excited about, and use that to motivate you to have a healthy body, because without your body being healthy, you can't do that thing. To surround yourself with positive people, to fuel your body with good food, to give your body plenty of rest, to do all these things, to save money so that you can start the business, so that you can do that thing that you're working towards.
I already know, so I got inside info. Who inspired you in the beginning, and who inspires you now?
There's honestly so many people who have inspired me, but I mean, I would say, first have been my parents, like my dad.
Shout out to Buster.
Yeah. I mean, he just put the mindset of an athlete in me very, very, very young. I remember being like in the 3rd grade, weighing like over 100 pounds, being like the chubbiest kid in class, and really wanting to play sports, and him being like, sweetie, you don't have to run up and down that basketball court. Like, you don't have to do this. And I was like, no, I want to. And he was like, you want to? I was like, yeah. And I mean, he would practice with me like all the time. And when I wanted to play high school sports, you had to run a mile in 8 minutes. For a little kid who weighs like, a 7th grader who weighs like 180 pounds, that's like a lot to do. And I remember my dad took me outside in the Texas heat every day and would run with me every single day. I used to puke, whatever, we would get up, we would do it again. But I think he just taught me the importance of having grit and, just that mental toughness. And he always taught me very young. He was like, as long as you're willing to be the last one standing, you're always going to win. Because everybody else is going to quit. Like, that's human nature. You don't really have to be that athletic. Hell, you don't even have to be very smart. Just be the last one standing. Be a great listener, because if you know what you know and then you learn what they know, you'll know more than them, right? Just don't talk. Listen. Be the last one standing. You're always going to win. And that really, really, impacted me, and I went on to play Division I college basketball and, start my own company. And he's an entrepreneur too. And those same principles apply now. Like with COVID-19 we went through last year. The minute all that happened, all my competitors sat down, hunkered down, cashed their, held their money. We just got to wait for this to pass. We got to figure out all of them are out of business now. We're the last one standing. Were we better? Not necessarily. Did we have nicer facilities? No. But we just poured into our customers during the hard times and just did the hard work every day when it wasn't sexy. So I think, my dad truly taught me the importance of tenacity, true tenacity, and that being your superpower.
I want to go back a bit here, because this is the first time that we've met. I've seen, your Instagram and everything. And I am shocked that in 7th grade, you were 180 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it in your life that made you want to be more healthy, more physically fit?
Exactly. It's the same thing that I was talking about earlier. I found a passion, right? Once I started playing sports and I was kind of good at it, like, I love to compete. I'm a fighter, Whether you like Donald Trump or not, you should watch the Donald Trump documentary, because he says some people are just born with a killer instinct and some aren't. And I think that is so true. Like, I have a killer instinct in me. And once I found sports, I was like, I will do whatever it takes to beat this girl. Like, I wanted to win. Like, it was so fun. Like, I loved competing. And it was because I found a passion. And sports are what made me want to get fitter, because I could feel that, being heavy, I couldn't run down the basketball court. I couldn't hit the volleyball, And so I wanted to work hard because I loved the game. I loved my team. I loved my friends who were my teammates. I loved playing the sport. It had nothing to do with wanting to lose weight to be more popular in school, or to make more people like me, or to get any sort of external validation whatsoever. It was not about anyone or anybody validating me. It was just about being able to fulfill a passion. And so at that point in life, that passion was playing sports. Now, I struggled with my weight again in my 20s and got up to a high weight again when I was working in consulting. And it was hard for me to get my weight in check. I was about 30 pounds bigger than I am right now. And what sparked that passion again was when I started teaching fitness classes. I wanted to have the energy and the enthusiasm to be able to like lead by example and to like not be sucking air, in the middle of the class, and like really motivate my team. And so it wasn't just me wanting to lose weight just to look good. Like I had a purpose deeper than just me. And I always tell my girls, like, that's why we work out in group fitness. That's why we move together on the beat of the music. I'm like, if your motivation is just you, it's never going to be enough. It's got to be bigger than you. If it's just about you and your hot body and your Instagram following or whatever, it's never going to be enough. It's got to be about your contribution to something bigger than yourself. And in both of my experiences and, my weight loss journey, it's always taken external stimulus of me wanting to contribute and help someone else or help my team, or fulfill a bigger goal that's given me that motivation. Greater than me. Yeah.
So Cuff and I have taken a lot of meetings over the past, 2 years since we actually started this trek as far as planning goes. I remember we sat in a meeting with a guy one night and he said, "Hey, I like what you guys are doing, but be aware that along this journey you're on," he said, "you're going to be pulled. You're going to be stretched.
Yeah.
The universe is going to test you." You're a business owner. COVID showed up, obviously. What did you learn about yourself after being stretched and pulled in all those different directions when it came to COVID?
I've learned so much, and I've been through a lot of therapy. So all of you entrepreneurs who think that's taboo, especially in the Black community, that's been very taboo. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. There's nothing wrong with talking things out. But, this year, and I talk about this with my therapist a lot. That's why I'm bringing it up. Like, it has really just helped me build my confidence, number one, that I can do hard things. But most importantly, number two, it's allowed me as an entrepreneur to show myself more grace. I think whenever you are an entrepreneur, you feel like you've got to hit all the marks and do everything right, or else the business is going to fail. And you see all these success stories, these Cinderella stories of people who start these businesses and they're like 0 to 100. But, every time I make a mistake as an entrepreneur, I tend to beat myself up. But, what I've learned through therapy and through looking back on COVID, like every one of those mistakes that I made and I'm still standing were invaluable learning opportunities. Like I was able to learn things that you cannot learn at Harvard Business School.
There are no losses. It's only learning.
It's just learning. And thank God I had the privilege of being an entrepreneur during a global pandemic, because who the hell can stop me now? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to just kind of change your frame of reference and say, look, if you're still here and you've been through all this hell, like you didn't come this far just to come this far. You wouldn't be here. Your suffering is not just in vain. You know what I mean? So don't beat yourself up over all the things that you shoulda, coulda, woulda. You're here. That means a lot. And you have invaluable experience, or the athlete in me, you have a competitive advantage over everybody else who hasn't made those mistakes yet. And that's something I learned the hard way, because, this past year, I had lots of new competitors, or actually 2 years ago before COVID hit. Once we kind of became a bigger company, I felt like there was just like a bullseye on my back with like competitors, like nonstop trying to recruit my people, copy my business model, personally attack me, like whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is everyone coming after me? But like you said, like once you go on this path and people are like, oh, they're legit, people are going to start attacking you. And people might be able to attack you and they might copy what you do, but if they're new, they haven't made the mistakes you've made yet. And so you've already made them. You already know how to handle the next one. They don't. So just rest assured. And what you don't need to do is attack back and fight eye for eye. It's a waste of energy. Like when you say, Mo, just stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. Keep doing what you're doing. Leverage the learning opportunities that you've had. Don't be distracted by competition, haters, naysayers. Just like stay in your lane. As Michelle Obama says, high road, long view, stay focused, and like everything works itself out because of all of the mistakes that you've already made, all that you've already been through. It's just made you better. So, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
So I love what you said. You said the word energy, and I'm super big on energy. How do you go about protecting your energy? Because, you have to be the catalyst for however many clients you have, hundreds of of people that traffic your spot here.
Yeah.
How do you protect your energy?
I love this question. In one of our studios, we have a giant sign that says "Energy is everything."
Yes.
Because it really is. Like, energy is everything. And along with that, I'll say your vibe attracts your tribe. So I have to protect my energy, because if I'm not giving out the right vibes, I'm not going to have the right team. I'm not going to attract the right customers. There's not going to be good energy in this place to make the business successful and for everybody to get what they came for, right? But I think that that's easier said than done. It takes intentional action to protect your energy. It's not just, oh, good vibes only, let me repost some Instagram thing. Like, you have to bring a lot of attention. So there's actually 3 things I do every day to protect my energy. Number 1, when I wake up every morning, I write in my journal, and I have 3 prompts in my journal that I answer. 3 things that I'm grateful for, because there's scientific studies that show that what you appreciate appreciates. So when you focus on gratitude, you attract more positive energy into your life. So 3 things I'm grateful for, and if I'm struggling that day, it could be I'm up, my dog is asleep next to me, anything, but 3 things I'm grateful for. The other things I ask myself is I'm proud of myself for what? 3 things that I'm proud of myself for. And I think that's something, especially as women or any kind of high achieving person, we're very good at pointing out what we could have done better, but we don't spend time just to stroke our, give yourselves, validate your hustle, you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to point out your flaws, but you have to be really intentional about being your own biggest cheerleader. So every day I write down 3 things that, I'm proud of myself for. And then the last 3 things, so that kind of makes me reflective of the past. The gratitude makes me in the present. And then for the future, I write down 3 things that I'm excited and hopeful about. Anything, I'm going to have dinner with my husband, or, we're working on a new project that I'm really excited about. But anything that I'm really excited about, not necessarily anything that I think is going to make a lot of money or whatever, but just things that I'm genuinely excited to put energy into, right? Because that's the thing about work, with entrepreneurship, with wellness, with anything. You always have to follow what energizes you if you want to be successful, right? So if you are going to start a new business and you don't know what that is, I always tell people, follow what energizes you. How do you like to spend your time? Do that thing, So if you're not really aware of how your vibe is, how your energy flow is, you can kind of just wake up every day and go with the flow. And then you realize one day when you wake up that you're not living your purpose. You don't feel fulfilled. You don't know how the hell you got where you are, but that's because you weren't intentional about protecting your energy.
I love it.
So I believe everyone should have some sort of ritual that they do, whether it's in the morning or before you go to bed, but just being mindful about what's going on in your head and in your soul, and bringing awareness to that and taking control of how you feel. Because we don't have control over anything in life but 2 things. 1 is your attitude, which is your energy, and 2 is your effort, how hard you work and how much energy you put into things. Right. Those are the only 2 things you can control in life. Everything else you cannot control. Your circumstances, what other people do, how people respond, what outcome happens. I can't control whether or not this business goes bankrupt or not. All I can control is I had a great attitude and I poured my heart and soul into every single person who worked in here. I worked hard every day, and I had I exuded good vibes. That's all I can do, And so I think that, because your energy is so sacred, and because it's one of the only 2 things that you can control, and because it's the source of all things that are going to make you healthy, wealthy, wise, whatever, it's in your best interest to take time every day to protect it.
I absolutely love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're recording this episode in in your design district location, and you got 2 other locations. And I know you. Planning is everything.
It is.
Can you talk about the importance of planning and why it is so monumental for you?
Yeah. So one of my favorite quotes is say, if you fail if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you don't have a plan, the only thing that's for sure is that you will fail, right? And every now and then someone will get lucky and hit the jackpot, but they are the exception. They're not the rule. So don't make your life around that one exception. 99% of people who have been successful have planned their success. We have another quote here in the studio that I love that says, "Success is a decision."
Facts.
It was a decision, right? I said, here's what I want. I will not tolerate anything other than that. And I'm going to do this, and this to get there, right? And so with planning, I think there's two big pieces of planning. Number one is being very, very crystal clear about what you want. You cannot create a plan for something that's an obscure thing. I want to be successful. Well, what is that? I want to be happy. Well, what is that? It's got to be very, very, very concise and concrete and specific. And I truly believe the universe responds to specificity. I always, from the minute I started this company, said I want 3 studios. I want 3. 3 was just this number for me. Like, to me, it signaled that I had built a scalable model. It wasn't just a one thing, a single mom and pop kind of shop thing. Anybody can make one. But I'm like, if I make 3, then that means I'm creating a business model, because I can't be 3 places at one time, right? So 3 was always a number I had. It was very intentional. It didn't just happen. I always wanted 3, I always wanted it to be all women, because that didn't exist. And I wanted to show that there could be a place that's all pink, like y'all can see, where the girls work really freaking hard. We're not in here doing like leg raises. They're in here doing burpees and running sprints and lifting heavy weights. Had a girl throwing up in class, clapping for herself. I mean, they're working hard. Like, we were trying to prove that, women are more than, just doing leg lifts to lose weight. Like, I wanted to change that narrative. And then the third thing I wanted to do is I wanted to have a diverse body of fitness goers, because, there weren't any Black women doing what I was doing. There weren't a lot of Black women that I saw at boutique fitness studios. Every time I went to a boutique fitness studio, it was a bunch of skinny blonde girls in all Lululemon. I was always the only Black girl in class. And so I was like, I cannot believe that in a city like Dallas, where there's so many, Mexican, Black, Asian, all sorts of Hispanic cultures, that the fitness healthy people are only white. I just don't believe that, And so those were 3 things that I always wanted with Grit. And so every year, whenever we set our goals for the year and I go over that with my team, I always tell them, here's our 5-year plan. Here's where I see us in the next 5 years. And here's the priorities for this year. Here's what we're going to do this year to get there. And so every year in January, we have what I call our all hands team meeting. We'll have ours. We just had ours January 16th. And we lay out step by step, month by month. Here's what we're doing January. Here's what we're doing February. Here's what we're doing March. My team knows the whole game plan for the whole year right now. And they also know why that's the game plan, because they know the vision I have 5 years from now about where I want us to be. It's not just happenstance. So I think planning is just so important. Twofold, like I said, knowing where you want to be, like what's your vision, and being very specific about it. But then having like the tactical, get your hands dirty, unsexy, sit down, pen to paper of what hard work is it going to take to get there, and writing that out and doing that. When I first started getting into fitness and stuff, I didn't know that I wanted to start a fitness studio. I didn't know that. I just knew that I wanted to have a creative outlet, and I knew that I wanted to quit my job because I hated my job, but I knew I couldn't quit my job unless I had a vision I was excited about, right? So I was like, okay, I do know that if I do want to start my own business or do my own thing someday, I know I need to know marketing. And I've never worked in marketing. I was in consulting. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to create a blog and start learning how to blog. I'm going to create an Instagram. I'm going to start building an email list and start reading YouTube videos about how to do email marketing. You know what I mean? There's skills that I know that I'm going to need if I want this other life. So that year I said, okay, in January, I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to write a blog post once a week. And then I'm going to start doing free events just to get emails. And I'm going to try to grow an email list to 1,000 people on an email list. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that email list, but I know that I need people to do something, you know? And so just being very methodical about, you know, where do I want to be? And to be that person, who do I have to be? You know, and I knew to be a CEO or to be, you know, a leader of an organization, I was going to have to be great at marketing. I was going to be great at communicating. I was going to have to be a great visionary, and I was going to have that money in the bank. Because you can't start a business without money. You're going to have that money in the bank. Yeah. So I just started saving money. That was another big goal I had. While I was, you know, working full-time in management consulting, I was saving money. I said, until you have $30,000 in cash, you can't quit your job. You can't even think about it. So that gave me so much more motivation to work, teach those extra fitness classes and save money and not go out for happy hour. I was like, okay, I got to save up. You know, I knew that there were certain things that I had to do to be the person that I wanted to be.
I absolutely love the fact that, and I say success is intentional.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, completely agree with that. And I loved how you just mapped that out. So visionaries that are tuning in, you know, that was a freaking diamond that she just dropped.
So what you're talking about ultimately is a growth mindset, right?
Yes.
And we talk about all this on the show all the time. When I actually say the term growth mindset, what pops into your head?
To me, it means my best days are ahead of me. They're not behind me. When people say growth mindset, to me, that means I have more capacity. You know, limiting beliefs are beliefs that my best days are behind me. I've already I'm at my max. Growth mindset means I believe in abundance. Like, there's limitless opportunities for what I can do, what I can learn, how I can influence people, how I can make money. Like, it's unlimited. And that's hard to believe sometimes. Like, that takes a person with a lot of grit and a lot of discipline to have that kind of mindset, because the easiest mindset is a mindset of being cynical, of it's hopeless, it's over.
Limiting.
You know, that's easier.
Yeah.
Limiting, that's easier to do. It's very hard to have a growth mindset, because a growth mindset means that you got to see the light in the tunnel when, like, the tunnel is like this big, you know? Yeah. You have to be really, and it takes being intentional, being disciplined.
Have you ever thought about being a motivational speaker?
Yes, many times.
I'd pay to hear you talk.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
In my next life.
I think it'd be amazing.
No, actually, it's interesting that you did this, because I have been feeling that conviction lately. And when I teach fitness classes, a lot of the girls are like, you know, sometimes I want you just to record what you're saying to us in class, because yes, we're riding the bike, but you're just saying what I needed to hear. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like God, like, you know, has given me that gift. So I am starting a YouTube channel next year. We're actually this year, starting a YouTube channel this year, just to share what's on my mind each week, or whatever is going on, or whatever the theme has been in classes, because we have themes every week of what we're focusing on, like, by month. And I do think that that is something that I really enjoy. And we talked about following what energizes you. I think it's fun. And so
I think you're outstanding. I think you're incredible at it. I really do.
Thanks.
So we're here in the studio, right?
Yep.
Why the name Grit? We've dropped it a bunch of times. We got to know.
Well, it rhymes with grit.
It does.
But aside of that, I was, you know, before I even started Grit Fitness, the first passion project I had, as I was telling you guys, was a blog. I started a blog to try to learn. I was just documenting my weight loss journey, traveling and consulting, and just trying to learn how to blog, to learn WordPress, because I knew I was going to have to learn, you know, how to do these things. And so the name of that blog was called gritbybrit.com. And so that's kind of where everything started. But I love the name Grit, because to me, grit is like the biggest aspect of my identity, or how I identify myself as like a gritty person. You know, I have never been the fittest, the most athletic, or the smartest person in the room, but I've always been the hustler, the Rudy, you know, the one who will just outwork anyone. Like, I like working hard. I like pushing myself. Like, I pride myself in that. And it's paid off. You know, I grew up right here in Mesquite, went to public school, was not valedictorian, but worked really hard, had an awesome resume, got to Cornell, did well, made Dean's List every semester there, did not go to Phillips Exeter or these other prep schools to get you ready, did really well, got accepted to Harvard Business School my senior year of college there. And when I even did my interview there, they were like, we like your hustle. That's what they liked about me, and so that's always just been something I'm really proud of. And I like having that as a part of my identity because that's just my effort, and that's something I have 100% control over. I don't want any of my identity to be about a talent, a skill, money, status, and athleticism, because those things can be taken from you just like that. Yeah. But my effort, I can always control that. So I just wanted that to be a big part of the brand that we're building.
Is there a difference in your purpose now compared to when you started?
I think the purpose is the same. The way that I fulfill it has changed, right? So when I first started the business, it was about me inspiring my customer and motivating her to achieve her goals. There gets a point when you're an entrepreneur that just the grit, just the hustle isn't enough anymore, and you truly have to surrender and let other people do what you used to do. Mm-hmm. And then you go through a whole other identity crisis and funeral. And I went through that like the past 2 years because you have to unlearn everything that got you successful to that point. All that had got me successful the first 3 years of my business was me getting up at 4 o'clock, teaching every class, cleaning the studio floor, emailing customers, knowing every customer by name, working in the business, operating the business. Once you grow and you scale, you fail over and over again because you physically can't do that anymore. And you have to trust other people. So now my job is to inspire and motivate leaders and to give them real work that I technically want to do and I'm so scared to give away, and trust them. And that's the number one way I think that you can show someone you believe in them and help them grow into their full potential, is to let them know that you trust them. You trust them with important things. And so that's my new way of living out my purpose. And that's really about trusting people with really important things.
How nerve-wracking is it to trust people with your baby?
Oh, like I can't even imagine when my husband Zach and I have our first real child, because Grit is my baby. Each one of these studios are my baby. Like, I made them from everything. I paid for them with my own money. I have zero investors. I own 100% of this company. Everything here has my name on it. Everything here, I've touched it, I've visualized it, created it. It all came from a thought in my head. And to now, truly have a team of 96 people who it's theirs. I come in and they tell me what needs to happen. They're like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. And I have to trust that, they know, and that I've done my job as a leader to equip them, to empower them, and to give them the swag to call me out and be like, no, Britt, we're not doing that, because our vision, you said our vision is this, and this is what's happening today, and this is where we're going. So I'm like, okay, and so it's a whole new learning curve and process. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, the purpose is still the same. My purpose has always been to empower women to be their best selves, using fitness and using physical challenges as that vehicle. We still do that. Now I give them different kinds of challenges beyond just fitness. It's leadership challenges. It's all kinds of different things.
You do all this great stuff, and I know you. How do you achieve balance, or is there such thing as balance in your world?
There's no such thing as balance. I think balance is a huge myth. I had a great mentor who told me, look, life is juggling, right? So if you have 3 balls, in order to juggle successfully, you can only have 1 ball in each hand, and then 1 is in the air. And in order to be a successful juggler, 1 can be in the air, that's fine. It just can't hit the floor, right? So there's always going to be, your top 3 priorities in life. For me, it's my family, my business, and then my health. Okay. And so there's periods in life where I've got a good grip on my health, good grip on my family because I'm spending lots of time there. But in business, I feel like I'm not as present. Or for me, most of the time, my business has felt really good and my family and my relationships are really good, but my health is suffering, and it's hard to juggle those things. And I think that, something else a wise mentor told me is that you can have it all, you just can't have it all at the same time. And I want to believe that you can have it all, but there's just seasons in life that, different things are more important in different seasons. And I think if I become a mom soon, it'd be very different. Like I wouldn't, there's things that I would probably value more or less, but you just can't beat yourself up because you're in that season. That season didn't look like the prior season. I have a lot of girls here who, used to be at the gym 6-7 days a week. They just had their first baby and now they're feeling all guilty because they're at home. And I'm like, you're in a different season now. Show yourself some grace. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. You're in a different season. You're still fit. You're still strong. It just looks different now. Maybe instead of being here 6 days a week doing 1-hour classes because you got to hang out with your girlfriends, you're just doing 3 30-minute sessions in your living room with a baby nap. So what? You're in a different season, and that's okay. And so I think that, balance is something I've struggled with. I've had my own health issues. 2 years ago, the left side of my face was totally paralyzed.
You scared the hell out of us.
Yeah, and it was Ramsay Hunt syndrome, which is like a very intense version of Bell's palsy, shingles. And, I was kicking ass. I was about to open my 3rd studio. I was working. I was like, look, I'm getting this money. I'm making we're empowering women. We are doing it. Like, I'm about to see my dream come to fruition. We're finally going to get the 3 studios until God literally boom, put me down on the ground and was like, without your body being healthy, none of this matters. If your body's not functioning, none of this matters. And so I think that was a big wake-up call for me that, yes, life is a juggling act, but I let the health ball drop, and there were signs of, I was fatigued. I wasn't sleeping. I was drinking way too much. I was drinking too much coffee and too much wine, you know what I mean? And not enough water. Yeah. And, just getting through it. And I think that, I'm grateful that happened when it did, when I was young and healthy, so that, I wouldn't experience that when I was older or have kids or something like that. So balance is something that I think it'll always be a challenge for me. But now I'm just more intentional about it. I mean, I go to therapy every other week just to talk. I go to acupuncture once a month. I have my self-care days or just manicure, pedicure day. I have my morning routine that I talk to y'all about where I just make sure my energy is in the right space. Because one thing that people don't realize is if your energy and your mindset is in a good space, you can control so much stress and so much anxiety. You can eliminate a lot of that. Meditation is something that I'm just not good. I just cannot do it, but I know it's good.
Struggle with.
I struggle with it. My husband
can't.
Right. My husband is so good, and he sits in that chair and gets his woosah on, and I'm just like, But, I think I have other ways of meditating. When I drive, I don't like music. I know that's so weird from a fitness instructor, but I always drive in silence. I always just kind of connect to my breath, and so I have ways of quieting my mind and little rituals that I do now just to make sure that everything is kind of balanced.
So we have reached the point of the show, Cuff, where it's time to land the plane. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So this segment is brought to you by the good folks of Grand Brulot Cognac. Thank you to Francisco. Thank you, Cuff. Thank you, Francisco, Jameson, the entire squad of the Lovers team, everybody involved with our partnership. We look forward to big things here later on in the year.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
That's for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You want to sip on that?
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You didn't know what you were going to get yourself
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. So, as we start the descent, one of the questions I ask everybody on the show, it is you at a round table. Mm-hmm. There are 5 other seats. Who do you want at your table? The only caveat is you can't have Jesus at your table because that's too easy.
That's too easy. Obviously, it's Oprah. I mean, come on. Oprah has been the person that, other than my dad, has inspired me since I was a little girl. Anytime there was career day at school, I was a talk show host. Always. That was always been my lifelong dream. So I just think that she does such a great job of breaking down racial barriers too. Like, you know, a lot of the time when there's Black leaders, they only have Black followers. And I just think Oprah really changed the game of having multiracial followers. And so I look up to her for that reason.
Yeah.
Second would be Serena Williams, who that's the silhouette we have there.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm obsessed with Serena. I love the fight in her. She's just a natural competitor. Like, she got killer instinct, and I love that about her. But I also love like the balance that she's shown with being a wife and a mom, and then not letting her dreams go, like still competing, and just being a very real example that like it's hard now. I mean, it's hard to win a championship if you have a wife and or a husband and a baby, but she's still going for it. You know, she didn't just let it go, and I just think that's really inspiring. Third would probably be two. I do not like politics, but I'm obsessed with leadership.
Yes.
I really like leaders, right? And so I love Barack Obama, and I also love George W. Bush. Would love to have both of them together.
Senior?
The junior.
Junior?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
I do like George W. Bush Jr. I like George W. Bush Jr.'s way of being unapologetically himself. Like, I think there's an art to that, you know, and kind of unapologetic. One of my favorite lines is they were like, "Mr. President, you know your approval rating is less than 20%. And he said, "I'm still your president." I mean, unapologetic, you know? And I don't know, I'm naturally kind of a people pleaser, so I go out of my way to make sure everybody's comfortable. But I think there's something really powerful about being unapologetically you. And then Barack Obama, I think, is just the true example of poised leadership and integrator. You know, if I could be like him, like that's the kind of leader I want to be. I want to be like him, you know? So politics aside, I hate politics. I hate politics discussion. I'm not the person to get into your political banter with, but I do love leaders. I think they're two really great leaders. And then the last would be, it's a toss-up between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, just because innovation is something that I'm passionate about. I think we're really innovative at Grit. We have a model that no one has had before, and I just like to be around people who are willing to be the risk takers and make a fool of themselves and get fired, come back, and take those big risks, drop out of college, do whatever. So the mindsets of those innovators, I think, is really, really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been amazing. Real quickly before we hit the final descend, why don't you drop your social media handles for all of the visionaries that are listening in?
Yes, please follow me. My personal account is Britt_Rettig, my maiden name. That's Rettig. So follow me there. Also, if you're in the Dallas area or if you want to get fit online, you can join the Grit fam, and our Instagram handle is Grit by Britt, all one word. So check us out in studio, online. We'd love to work it out with you and help you achieve your goals. So super excited for all visionaries who are listening to this episode of Vision Lab Podcast. You can enjoy 1 month of free virtual Grit fitness classes in our online platform. Just use the discount code Vision Lab at checkout.
Visionaries, make sure y'all do that. So all women that are out there that you want, you're looking to get in shape anytime, right? Make sure you go ahead and put that code in there at the checkout. So again, thank you so much. First of all, your establishment is insane. It's super, super cool. Really like the energy here. It's really good. As we land this plane, I always ask these two questions. What's the long-term vision for one Miss Britt?
Long-term vision is just to empower women all over the world. I would love for our footprint not just to be in Dallas, or now because, of the impacts of COVID last year, it's all over the US, which we're really proud of, but to bring women together all over the world, united under this belief that we can use physical challenges to help us be our best selves. So whether that's through more brick and mortar studios or through just virtual teaching, but just being an integrator of people. That's the long-term vision.
That's the Oprah in you.
That's the Oprah in me, to bring people together. Most important thing.
Amen. Last question of the episode here. In case you didn't know, we have a magical time machine here in the lab. What would today's version of yourself, what advice would you be giving yourself from 5 years ago? So you're year one-ish, into having, your studio brand new, what advice do you give me? So it doesn't have to be related to the business. It could be personal.
It would be chill out and enjoy the journey. Chill out and enjoy the process. The journey really is the reward. The days of the grind, those are such special days, and everything will work itself out. If you've made it this far, everything in life has worked out so far. So it's going to continue to work itself out. But there's no need for you to spend any energy today being fearful or scared or anxious about the future. Just relax and enjoy the present moment.
Absolutely love that. Now we're going to fast forward the clock 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's the older version of yourself? What advice are they giving you today?
Oh, the older version of myself, probably giving that same advice about to enjoy the journey, but probably to dream bigger, to think more of yourself, and to not put limits on what you think is possible. You can do a lot more in 5 years than you think you can.
Absolutely outstanding. Visionaries, thank you again for tuning in. It's been a wonderful, wonderful, exciting, and really educational episode. We hope to continue this here in 21 and bring in other fantastic guests on each and every week. Remember, each one of our guests are dropping nuggets of wisdom on the trail of life. Ultimately, it's up to you to pick them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. The voice you've been listening to is the owner of Grit Fitness, Miss Brittani Rettig Wold. Sis, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We will see you all next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab podcast.
Blessings.